Big Rab Show Podcast is kindly sponsored by G1 Reeds. They are the champion's choice, with many bands around the world playing G1 products, providing everything you'd need to hit the circle or the big stage. So, check out g1reeds.com as they keep the lights on here at the Big Rab Show Podcast.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another Big Rab Show podcast. Now, to everyone that's been messaging me for most of today and all of last night following our Fuse FM radio show, hello, the podcast is here. Okay, you can stop messaging me now. Hello, the episode is now published. You're listening to my voice. We're about to get into it. The European Championships and this week's topic. Okay, well, we'll talk all about it, but before we get there, we've got a lot of ground to cover. We have to talk about everything that happened this past week, and there's been a lot of news. Even at the point of me recording this, here on the 24th of June, there was some big news stories dropped. So we have to talk about all about it, don't we? All right, so before we do that, let's get through our introductions, though, shall we? If this is your first ever Big Rab Show podcast, you are welcome. We are the show for the bagpiping folk, and we reflect everything in the bagpiping world, be it Celtic music, folk music, or indeed our bread and butter, which is competitive piping and drumming. Each and every week we're here talking about what we know and love to be the music of the Great Highland Bagpipe and its people. And yeah, we plug it every week, but for good reason. I'm talking about our Patreon page, of course, where if you want to go and help support us, then you can. You can go and click on our Patreon page, click on support, and you get your mitts on loads of extras. Now, I can't really explain to you just how much is back there, but we have been churning out the extra goodness over there on Patreon. So shout out to our Patreon faithful. You guys are awesome.
The Patreon faithful are awesome. The Patreon faithful are awesome. The Patreon faithful are awesome. The Patreon faithful are awesome.
Yes, they are. Shout out to our Patreon faithful who have clicked on that button of support and have got their mitts on all of those juicy extras. If anything, one of the most popular items that we have over there on Patreon, apart from our weekly Fuse FM show, where if you do manage to miss it live, well, it's up there on Patreon. You can download it each week. And, well, the next thing that's available is our Fly on the Wall documentary series. And yeah, it is really quite interesting watching back at some of that. Like, sometimes we produce things and then we kind of set it and forget it kind of thing. But yeah, I did take a bit of time to rewatch back through some of those documentary episodes. And it's interesting to see just how much ground we've covered already this season. And if you do want to see what makes the Big Rab Show tick, well, there you go. Head over to Patreon, check out our Fly on the Wall documentary series and a wealth of other extras over there on Patreon. Definitely worth your time to visit it. All right. Right. Well, with each and every Big Rab Show, we do open the door to listener mail, and this week is no different. And let's say this, last night we did ask for your thoughts and feelings, opinions on all things European Championships. Yeah. What are you looking forward to? What are you not looking forward to? And, yeah, I'll say this, the feedback has been interesting, and we will incorporate all of your feedback into this week's topic, okay? So your email has been received. I know some people don't like their emails being read out, so don't worry. There has been some of you that asked to be kept anonymous and stuff. Don't worry, we won't read those out, but there will form part of our opinion piece whenever we're talking about our preview, so that'll be later on in the topic, yeah. Now, we've also been emailed in by a few people volunteering to help us cover things this season, which is just fantastic. So thank you to those people who've reached out and, threw their hat in the ring. Say, hey, Rab, I can point a camera at band. I can help. That's brilliant. We have always had an open call. If you do want to help us on the Big Rab Show cover things for this incoming season, well, absolutely. Do email us in, bigrabshow@gmail.com. And, as you can see, actually, from anyone who follows our YouTube channel, over the last couple of days, we've been churning out the videos. We've had tons of stuff from Ontario, South Africa, We're finishing the last of our Chicago videos, and we had stuff locally here in the UK. Just so much piping action has hit our YouTube channel over this past week. There's so many videos, it's kind of crazy to keep a track of it all. But that is all through the hard work of our volunteers here on the Big Rab Show team, so shout out to them. So yeah, if you do want to help us, absolutely, email us in, bigrabshow@gmail.com, and a number of you have. So we've been in contact with you, and we will be lining up coverage of future events as a result, which is really exciting. Now, I do believe that this may well be a result of myself appearing on the Droning On podcast with Jim. I don't know if you've managed to hear that yet. I know a good number of you do subscribe to that podcast and listen to it on the regular. I am a regular listener myself. So, yeah, took the opportunity to catch up with Jim, chat away on the Droning On pod, and it was an interesting conversation. And we did mention that about the challenges that we face at the Rab Show team about covering everything in the piping world can be incredibly difficult, and, well, many hands make light work. So thank you to those who've listened to that podcast and reached out to us as a result. It's very welcome. Thank you, everyone. All right. We've also been emailed in about a few exciting ventures that are happening in the bagpiping world. The first one I want to talk about is really quite interesting. Yeah, this is a centenary celebration to honor pioneers and also to set a possible world record at the Melbourne Tartan Day Parade on the 5th of July. Now, what am I talking about? Well, this is going to be a huge gathering of female pipers and drummers from all across Australia. Yeah, they've been invited, of course. Everyone around the globe is all invited for this. You can register your interest to appear. And yeah, this landmark event will be held in July, as I mentioned, as part of the Melbourne Tartan Day celebrations. They do hope that this will be one of the largest ladies' pipe band ever assembled. And I think that's what they're trying to achieve here by breaking world records. So if you are anyway curious, you can follow all the links, of course, to the Melbourne Tartan Day. Or, of course, you can even register well in advance with the following address. You can email them contact@ausladies.info, which is ausladies.info, or you can follow the link as well, which is ausladies.link. There you go. So you can go and register your interest, and if you do want to head to Melbourne, thump out some tunes, and be a part of the largest ever ladies' pipe band ever formed, I don't know, that's dead exciting right there. So this event, as I say, is all happening on Sunday, 5th of July, as part of the Melbourne Tartan Day Parade. I will be following this with interest. So, yes, thank you to those who has emailed us the details about this. We will certainly be following this. And if they do manage to break the world record for the largest ladies' pipe band, that would be exciting right there, wouldn't it? That would be exciting. So go along, check that out, register your details if you do want to be a part of things there in Melbourne. Really exciting stuff. All right. Also, let's talk about Piping Live. It seems to be pretty much every other day I'm getting emails about Piping Live. There are so many huge announcements from Piping Live, so many big acts that are appearing, different workshops. Like, I think recently the International Quartets, the lineup for that was just confirmed. Shout out to G1 who are sponsoring that event. Go on, G1. Yeah, full details of all of that. I have to say that it's dizzying how many announcements there's been. So go and check pipinglive.co.uk for all of those. It seems every day this festival just continues to get bigger. So all of that information is up there, including all the details about your ticketing as well. We did get some listener mail asking about ticketing and how it all works, the festival pass, and then the additional tickets you need to buy for those premium events, things like that. That's all up there on the Piping Live website. That's my advice. If you have any questions to do with Piping Live, there's so much info on their site, and they're constantly working at it, so always updating. So the info that you see in an hour's time could be completely different in a couple of hours' time because they're constantly updating it every day. So the reason I'm giving it a shout is because, well, we were emailed and told about the Piping Live Big Band is returning for 2026. Happy days! Yeah, the Piping Live Big Band, that's been running for, well, according to the press release here, this will now be its 9th showcase at this year's festival. So it's been going for 9 years. Wow, I remember when this all started. So it's a huge gathering of all ages, anyone who can hold or play a set of bagpipes or hold a drum, a tenor, a bass, whatever. everyone is welcome to apply. Now, this is the crux of it. The whole event is going to be happening on the 10th of August, okay? And it is strictly limited to 200 people. Oh! Yeah, just 200. Now, I know I say just 200. That's quite a huge band right there. But, yeah, I think in previous years they have been overwhelmed with the number of applications to be a part of the Piping Live Big Band. And, yeah, so this time they're limiting the numbers strictly to 200 people. Okay? Now, this event raises money for charity every year, and this year's no different. This year's charity is called My Name's Doddy Foundation. And they are raising money for motor neuron disease and others. So you can go and check out details about the charity, of course. There's links all across the Piping Live site. I talk all about the charity and their amazing work. So this band, I hope, is going to raise a ton of money for a very worthy charity. And it's a great way to kick off the festival. You know, the band parades through the streets of the West End of Glasgow, bringing music to the masses. Like, imagine sitting in your office and work on a Monday, and then suddenly a band of like 200 odd pipers just like starts parading past your window. Wouldn't that be epic? Absolutely epic. So, as I've said, this welcomes musicians of all ages, anywhere from 8 years old to 86 years old, whatever. Doesn't matter. If you can play and you want to hit the streets with the big band, now's your opportunity. So the advice here on the email actually is to get your registrations in fast, because these spots will absolutely close very quickly. The closing date for registrations, by the way, is the 17th of July, and no registrations after this date will be accepted. No exceptions. All right? So there is all the details about how to get registered and all that stuff is all on the website. I'm not going to bore you with all of the details. All of that info is on the site, but that's my advice. If you do want to be a part of the big band, go and register your name now at the point of listening to my voice, because registrations close on the 17th of July and it's limited to 200 spots. So I can actually see this closing early, to be honest. Yeah. All right, well, there's also opportunities as well, not just for the musicians who want to be a part of the band, but if you do also want to be a band steward on the day, you know, those folks that have to run around with the high-vis vests on, taking care of everyone, those guys. So if you do want to be a big band steward, there is opportunities for that as well. You can email them, contact@pipinglive.co.uk, and you can be a big band steward. There you go. So, folks, that is quite an exciting event right there, and it's a brilliant way to kick off the Piping Live Festival. It creates such a buzz in the city, you know, and raises a ton of money for charity. So My Name's Doddy Foundation, I hope they manage to get a ton of money as a result of this cracking big band. So brilliant way to start the festival. So get your registration details in now. Okay. Other than that, we've had tons of email, all kind of logistics, working out the rest of the season for us here on the Big Rab Show. Yeah. As I've said, we had a ton of volunteers actually recently just reach out to us saying that they're going to various events, and we're in the process of trying to help everyone out and line up our coverage for this season. Yeah. Also, I have to give a shout out to those who emailed us through results for certain competitions. Yeah. This has been a bit of a challenge of ours in recent weeks, is trying to find some of our international results from competitions. So shout out to Jim, who did send us through the results from the San Diego Highland Games. Thank you, Jim. We also got results from Chicago, but we already spoke about that in our previous pod. There was other competitions as well. We will get into all of that in our news and updates. All right. But thank you to everyone who has emailed that into us. We do appreciate the help. We know we asked for it, so brilliant to see. Thank you. So appreciate the help. So if you are going to an event and you do want to point the camera at it, or even if you don't and you just want to record the results and then email them to us, brilliant. Please do so. I would love to see that. bigrabshow@gmail.com. All right. So that's listener mail out of the way. You can send us in your own listener mail, of course. After this week's show, I'm sure there'll be some commentary talking all about what's going to happen at Perth. All right. On to our next favourite feature here. Now, I have to apologise to JD. Okay? Now, I might have done something very silly. Okay? Oh, this is on me. So, yes, I am going to apologize to JD right now because we put her on our social media saying, hey, anybody like to submit a weekly drone this week? Well, you talk about opening the floodgates, buddy. Oh, my word. JD has been absolutely flat out recording weekly drones. We weren't expecting quite the reaction that we got, but boy, did it open the floodgates. So we have so many on the shelf. I'm literally just going to have to pick a random 2 or 3 here, and that's what we'll do for this week and next week and possibly the next 4 or 5 weeks. We've got so many, folks. We're going to do our best to get through them. So, JD, my apologies. Your workload has been intense this past week as a result of that social media post. My bad. All right. So, JD, without further ado, let's get into the first weekly drone for this week. And this one's called Pennies.
It's the weekly drone. Pennies, not pounds. Hi, Rab. After listening to the show last week regarding the small entries for the UK Championships, I felt it necessary to throw my 50p in. Most bands cannot afford to travel across the Irish Sea. Most bands are struggling to stay afloat. Money is tight. Yes, there should be a major in Northern Ireland, but there should be no complaints about attendance. The UK economy is in the bin, and things aren't getting better. Bands are operating with pennies, not pounds. Gigs are drying up. If times get better, bands will make the trip to Northern Ireland. It is just the way the wind is blowing at the moment. It is not because no one wants to come to Northern Ireland. They just can't afford it.
Yeah, I think that's where it ends there. Yeah, we did mention this, that we completely understand the reason why bands from Scotland perhaps decided not to compete at the UK Championships in Belfast, because of that very reason, that bands are 100% operating on pennies rather than pounds. I do agree with that. Well, it also rings true not just for Scottish bands coming here to Northern Ireland, but also the other way around. The 4 different occasions that Northern Irish bands have to go across the water, it adds up over the course of a season. And you're absolutely right in saying that the UK economy right now, not great. Cost of living is a challenge. And perhaps whenever you're looking at how far your wages are going to stretch that week, well, does gallivanting across the water to play at a competition, does that hit top of the pile when you're considering, heating, electric, food, all that kind of stuff does come into play. So, yes, I absolutely understand bands are on a shoestring right now. And we've seen evidence of that across the season already. No doubt we'll talk more about that, of course, in this week's topic as we get into the Euros, because I do feel that there's some repercussions there as well for the Euros. So, yeah, I am hopeful, like our weekly droner, that things will get better, though. And I'm always kind of the optimist in this regard. We are starting to see, well, the draw for the Euros is actually really quite healthy in some regards. Yeah. And, yeah, I'm sure you heard my real-time reaction last week when I looked at the draw for the Scottish. Oh, baby, it's a good one. So things are getting better. And I'm really hopeful whenever it comes to the big Union in Glasgow and we get the draw for that, well, it'll be a massive, major championship for all of us to enjoy. So, yeah, it's a matter of prioritizing, I guess. That journey across the Irish Sea is a challenging one, can also be an expensive one as well. So that one journey to Northern Ireland can be difficult for bands. Absolutely understand. However, the 4 journeys across the water to Scotland can also be an equally challenging thing for Northern Irish bands as well. Yeah. It's not fun, but it's where we are. But yeah, thank you, Weekly Droner. I agree with that one. All right, let's move on. JD, this next Weekly Drone, this one's called Majors.
the weekly drone.
Major competitions. With the difficulty the RSPBA regularly has in organizing 5 majors in Scotland and Northern Ireland, and bands having to make decisions on how far or how often they travel to competitions, perhaps it's time for a new process for majors. The RSPBA doesn't have to look too far for a new system which would work well. The Solo Drumming Champion of Champions League. Obviously, the RSPBA isn't going to be in a position to host a competition outside of the UK, so they'd need to partner with other associations. Maybe 3 majors in Scotland and Northern Ireland, and then promote competitions like the All-Irelands, the North American Championships, the Chicago Games, the Australian or New Zealand Championships. Could even be swapped between the 2 host competitions if needed. It seems to me that would be a win-win. The RSPBA gets to outsource much of the organizing and fundraising, while the host association gets added prestige for their premier competition, and bands get an opportunity to enter a major without leaving their continent.
Ooh. Weekly Droner, that's an interesting one, that. Yes, you're quite right. That does take a leaf out of the solo drumming world, doesn't it? Who have led by example. That can show that it is absolutely possible. And the music play out there. Yeah, that is an interesting dynamic, that one. However, will those events be willing to have that major championship status attached to their event? Because with that comes all sorts of different connotations that their event may not have had in the first instance. What I mean by that is, well, you mentioned the All-Ireland Championships there, for example. Say we were, to make that a major championship in the calendar. Well, does that change some of the certain rulings, the traditions that event has had over the years? Does it change the dynamic of the event itself with having headquarters step in to run the event rather than, the JAC, which is the Joint Association Committee between the Northern Ireland branch and the Irish branch? That's an interesting dynamic there. Also, you mentioned the Chicago Games and others, like the New Zealand and Australian Nationals. Yeah, but again, you're crossing jurisdictions there, and will they be receptive to such an idea? Remains to be seen. Yeah, I don't know. It's a very interesting question, that one, and an interesting idea. Well, we have seen that it does work for the solo drumming world, so you're quite right. But will it work for the competitive band and drum major scene? I don't know. Not sure on that one. Anyway, so I don't know. Whenever I don't know something, I'm very willing to say I don't know, by the way. I'm by no means an expert, but Weekly Droner, that's an interesting conversation there. There you go. All right. Now, JD, time for another one. This one's called Haggis? What's this about?
It's the Weekly Drone. Chicago haggis throwing scandal shocks Scotland. As a lifelong member of the Haggis Preservation Society, I must formally register my outrage at the casual mention of haggis throwing at the Chicago Highland Games. The haggis is not some furry caber to be lobbed about a field for public entertainment. It is a proud, misunderstood creature of the Glen with deep cultural roots, questionable balance, and absolutely no consent forms signed for aerial activities. The lowland haggis, with its 4 wee stumpy legs, is already enough pressure from bad drainage, over-enthusiastic terriers, and tourists asking if it comes with whiskey sauce. The Highland haggis, meanwhile, has evolved with 2 shorter paws on the left-hand side, purely to allow it to thunder round the hillsides at terrifying speed. Launching one through the air would interfere with centuries of delicate hillside engineering. Farm-bred haggis are no better suited to competitive throwing. They are nervous, circular, and prone to dramatic squeaking when startled. So I say this with all the dignity my tartan outrage can muster to the people of Chicago. By all means, enjoy your Highland games. Toss your cabers, fling your stones, dance your dances, and pipe until the midges surrender. But leave the haggis alone. They have suffered enough. Yours indignantly, a concerned, lifelong member of the Haggis Preservation Society, protector of the wee stumpy-legged ones.
What? I'll let the music play on that one as I recover from... I have never heard of the Haggis Preservation Society. Wow. So, Chicago Highland Games, you'll have to take your lumps on that one. Man, what do I say to that? Is that piping related? I don't know. Is we talking about tune selection and MSRs or read quality and, man, I don't know. Haggises? Weekly Droner, thank you for that. Entertaining. I had no idea about that society. JD, come on. Give us the next Weekly Drone for this week, mate. This one's called Decline. That sounds cheery. Haggises. Cheekers.
The Weekly Drone.
7 bands in Grade 1. It's a sad state of affairs, perhaps a sign of the gradual decline of pipe bands since COVID. Things certainly aren't better than they were before.
That was short and sweet and called Decline. But do you know what I have stuck in my head is whether multiple haggis are called haggai, or do you call them haggises? I don't know. Anyway, but right, let's talk about what the Weekly Droner talked about there. But the decline. Yeah, they're mentioning 7 bands in Grade 1, so I assume that's about the UK Championships, where Scottish Power withdrew from competition that day, and Inverarian District were in Chicago that weekend. It is, like all of these Weekly Drones, apart from the Haggis one, which is a bit mad, and they're all talking about on a theme about how bands pick and choose now about what competitions they can target. And then the reasons that go into that decision can be really nuanced. Now, do I think things are in decline? No, I don't. I don't think things are in decline at all. If anything, I think what's happening here is exactly what our Weekly Droner said there with that Weekly Drone called Pennies. That bands are just in survival mode right now. As I've said, that cost of living thing is real, and it is absolutely biting in the bagpiping world right now. Now, what can be done to help bands financially to hit the grass? Your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea on that front. But it is a real thing, and bands absolutely have to consider each contest in its own right, because each one in its own right has its own outlay. Yeah, each one can be a considerable investment to attend, and as a result of attending said competition, will they get any kind of a return from the point of view that perhaps they'll go into the circle, thump a mighty good tune, absolutely melt everyone's face, and potentially lift the thing. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a very interesting dynamic, this. Do I think the bagpiping world is in decline? No. Respectfully, no, I don't think so. I think bands are just now being a little more choosy, a little bit more targeted whenever it comes to their season. 2026 already has been full on. It's been event after event, and we've seen numbers fluctuate, not just in our majors, but also in our minors as well. We've seen some big grades and some not so big. And that is just the direct result of bands deciding, hey, we're not going to spend the money and head out every single weekend. Perhaps we're going to hold some back, keep some money in the coffers, and then think about next season. So then we'll have a bit of a nest egg sitting there to say, hey, we didn't go to 2 competitions last year. Here's the money we saved. That will enable us then to either get new uniforms, new instruments, or perhaps hit 2 extra competitions next season. There you are. So, in decline? No. I just think bands are being more shrewd. Yeah. Anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions on that one. You can send us in your own weekly drone. You can go to our website, thebigrabshow.com, that big button at the top of the page that says weekly drone. Let us know your thoughts and feelings, warts and all, and we'll send them on to JD for him to read out here live on air. Now, as you've heard, They're completely anonymous. There is no identifying factors, although I'd love to know more about the Haggis Preservation Society. So no identifying factors. There's no potential repercussions for you or your band. It's an open microphone to the bagpiping world. Let us know your thoughts on all things happening, and we'll bring it to a future show. All right, folks. Well, that's Weekly Drone out of the way for now. We're going to draw a line under it. We could stand here all day chatting Weekly Drones, but we do have some news and updates to get into. So I'm going to take myself a wee break at this point, and I'll be right back with all of those news and updates. Ever wish you had a piping teacher on call 24/7? Well, now you do. Introducing the Interactive Player, a game-changing new practice tool at Dojo University. Play along with world champion pipers while the notes on your sheet music light up in time. Loop tricky phrases, slow down tough sections, zoom in to focus, and build speed automatically. It's like having a teacher right in your practice room, showing you how to master every tune at your own pace. So, sign up for a free trial today at pipersdojo.com and start learning smarter with Dojo U's Interactive Player. Okay, folks, time for the news and updates. Now, we have got so much ground to cover because this past weekend there was a wealth of competitions. That's the polite way to put it. Some people might say there was an absolute load of bagpiping this weekend. So we're going to do our best, okay? Now, a lot of these competitions all have their results published online. If you do want to go and see the full summary sheets from all of them, you can go and visit them online to their associations where have published each one in turn. There will be those that I'm going to have to gloss over here just for time purposes. Otherwise, we will be here for an incredibly long podcast this week. So, where am I going to start with our news roundup, I guess? Well, first of all, let's look towards South Africa. Yes, we had the Pretoria Highland Gathering. Now, we did manage to actually catch some video at this. Shout out to Siobhan. Siobhan's awesome. Thank you, Siobhan. I did manage to catch some of the Grade 4 action. So if you do want to check that out, that's up there now on the Big Rab Show YouTube channel. So let's kind of skip through the results here. Now, as I've mentioned, the full results from the Pretoria Highland Games are available. You can look at the full summary sheets to find out who won the MSRs, medleys, all of that. We're just going to talk about the overall placings for both events combined. All right? Just to try and save time. Starting off with novice juvenile champions on the day, placed in first place overall were St Andrews. Well done. In second place was the Benoni Pipe Band. Third place was the Jep Pipe Band. Yeah. And in fourth place was the De La Salle Pipe Band. There you go. And in fifth place then, of course, was the Pretoria boys themselves. And that was your novice juvenile grade. Moving on to the juveniles then. Winners on the day. There's only two bands in this grade, actually. So winning overall were St Benedict's. Yes. And in second place were the Pretoria boys school. There you go. So that was your juvenile grade. Moving on to Grade 4. Now, this honestly was such a fascinating watch. Some of these bands in here playing a big tune. Very impressed. So, yeah, winners overall on the day in Grade 4 were Transvaal Scottish. Whoa, go on, the Transvaal. Good stuff there. That's first place overall. And in second place overall, we had St Andrews. Had actually played a real good tune. I was suitably impressed, especially with their drumming. Go and have a listen to St Andrews, yeah. In third place, then, we have the Kinsetton Districts. Yeah, there you go. In fourth place, we had the African Sky Pipe Band. Fifth place was Benoni. And in sixth place was the Pretoria Highlanders. There you are. So that was your Grade 4. As I've said, there's videos from that competition, the Grade 4 grade, from the Pretoria Games up on the YouTube channel. Go and have a watch at it, yeah. All right, so moving on to Grade 3, then at the Pretoria Games. In first place in Grade 3 was Pretoria Highlanders. Yes, lifting the top spot overall on the day. Well done, the Pretoria. In second place was the De La Salle Combined Pipe Band. Yes. And in third place was African Sky, and that was your Grade 3. Now, rolling into Grade 2, I have yet to see some of the performances from this, so I'm going to refrain from commenting until I do manage to see it. But yeah, shout out to our first place finisher on the day in Grade 2. Overall, we're the Transvaal Scottish. There you go. Go on, the Transvaal. Well done. In second place was the Comeland, 1645. Yeah, I haven't heard them, actually, so I'm keen to hear that. In third place, we have Benoni Mactala. Yes, now there's a familiar name to a lot of bands. Very competitive band, that. So, yeah, shout out to you guys. In fourth place, then, we have the Durban Caledonian Society. And that was your grade 2 on the day. Grade 2 was the highest grade that was played on the day at Batora. And there was also some drum majoring action as well. And those results have also been published. So go and check that out. It's all available on the Pipe Bands Association South Africa. On their socials, they've published all that detail out there. So, yeah, I haven't seen all the runs from this, but I am very keen to catch them where I can. So I will be following the socials over the next while to see if there has been any additional videos published from this. But I do believe that the entire event was live streamed online. So I've yet to go back and watch that live stream. We were promoting it, of course, on the day, telling people, hey, here's the live stream, go and watch it. So a good number of you did, and did say that it was quite enjoyable to watch. So there you go. Go and check out the action from South Africa. A lot of great piping and drumming there to be had for sure. All right, so let's bring things a little closer to home for now. Let's look towards what happened here in Northern Ireland specifically this past weekend with Moira, or specifically the Lisburn and Castlereagh Championships. Yes. Now, the full summary sheets from this are published online. You can go and check it out, okay? So I'm not going to read through the entire list of everyone, but that'll take ages. But let's go through the results from Lisburn and Castlereagh in Moira. Starting with our drum majors then. And Lisburn and Castlereagh champion for our novice grade was Charlotte Adamson. Woo, go on, Charlotte, from the Major Sinclair Memorial. Well done. In second place was Heidi Putz. In third place, Eliza Compston. Fourth place was Molly McMahon. And in fifth place was Ariana Park. There you go. So that was your top 5 finishers in the novice grade. Yeah. Moving on to our junior grade. Now, junior grade, whenever you look at the summary sheets, again, M&D preference coming to play here. And it seemed to be how the placings were decided here. You'll hear this in a second. So, yeah, M&D preference again rearing its head in the drum majoring world. So, yeah, junior champion for the Lisburn and Castlereagh championships was Holly Gracie from the Irvine Memorial. Now, she lifted that top spot on M&D preference. Yes, and in second place was Willow Rose Elliott, who was placed in second, also on M&D preference. Yeah. Now, in third place, we had Hannah Campbell from Grantia. Yeah, so the top 2 finishers here, top 3 finishers actually, all had equal points. Now, that's interesting. But, again, the placings were placed on M&D. That shows how tight the margins are, doesn't it? Yeah. In fourth place, then, in our junior grade, was Molly Bell. Yes, and in fifth place was Rosie McKinstry. That's your top 5 there for our juniors. Moving on to juvenile, we're going to hear more about M&D, aren't we? Yeah, but our Lisburn and Castlereagh champion for our juvenile grade is Carries Graham from Down Pipes and Drums. Go on, Carries. Well done. In second place on M&D preference, there it is again, Georgia Turkington. Yes, and in third place, we had Lydia Todd. In fourth place, we had Debbie Gilmer. And in fifth place, we had Sadie Jackson. Your top 5 for your juvenile. Again, with that M&D preference coming into play. It's so important, isn't it? Wow. All right. Moving on to our adult grades then for the Lisburn and Castlereagh championships. Who is our champion? Louis Anderson. Go on, Louis, you legend. Yeah. Placing in the top spot in first place on M&D preference. Again, M&D preference seems to be king at the moment. Wow. Because, in second place was Jamie Couples. So, Jamie and Louis were on level pegging. They had exactly the same points. And the only way to split them, M&D preference. Wow. Okay. In third place, we had Charlotte Ruddock. Yes, well done, Charlotte. In fourth place, we had Cara Gilmer. And in fifth place was Ben Dixon. There you are. Well done, folks. So the reason I'm sort of leaning on this M&D preference thing is because it seems to be happening now with every competition when it comes to drum majoring. The margins are so slim in the drum majoring world that it has to be decided by M&D preference. That's the only way to split these drum majors because they're all so blinking talented. So, yeah, I don't know, folks. The drum majoring world is absolutely exciting right now. If you aren't following the competition, you should be. And this M&D preference comes to the fore is the only way to separate our drum majors who, I don't know, absolutely make it very difficult for the judges. I'll say that. They're so amazing to watch. But yeah, well done to everyone there in the drum majoring arena at the Lisburn and Castlereagh Championships. For overall, honestly, the day itself, the conditions were great. Really sunny, actually, and really quite warm on occasions as well. So not much in the way of wind and howling rain that we had in Moira last year. Oh, boy, wasn't that a disaster. So, yeah, drum majors had a grand old time there. Well done to all of you. All right, let's get on to our bands then, and kicking things off with Grade 4B, or as we've been calling it, the Wild West. Oh, yes, Grade 4B at Lisburn and Castlereagh Championships. Who was our champions? Well, winners on the day and Lisburn and Castlereagh champions for 2026, Hollymount. Go on, the Hollymount. Wow, a fantastic result for them, honestly. And they played for it too. Such a good run. So entertaining. Just absolutely clean, precise play. Just fantastic to listen to. Shout out to Hollymount. So they done so actually with ones right across the board. 2 firsts in pipe and drumming ensemble. They cleaned up. What a weekend for Hollymount. Well done, folks. Yeah. In second place was my own band, Tullylagan. Yippee! Go on, the Tullylagan. Yeah, we finished in the runner-up spot. Yeah. And third place was Breedy Ulster Scots. Yes, and in fourth place then was the Cleland Memorial. So a small grade in the Wild West in Grade 4B, but very competitive though at the same time. Yeah. So drumming on the day, as I say, went to Hollymount. They also lifted the piping. Best bass section went to Tullylagan, so go on the Lagan. And we also lifted M&D as well. So there you go. Very competitive grade there in the Wild West in 4B. Honest to goodness, any band in that circle at Lisburn and Castlereagh, whew, such a good weekend's competition. But well done to Hollymount, deserved champions. Moving on to Grade 4A then, and winners on the day, Grantia. Yes, go on the Grantia. Managed to lift the drumming as well. Also placed a first in ensemble too. Well done. In second place then was Moneygore. Actually lifted the piping result. 2 firsts in piping. Well done, Moneygore. In third place was the Altnavay Memorial. Go on, the Altnavay. Brilliant. And in fourth place was Ballybreast. Go on, Team Breast. Good stuff. In fifth place then was Marlacoo. There you go. So, as I said, a very competitive grade, very entertaining to watch. So, yeah, go and check it out. Also have to give a shout out to Queen Elizabeth, who lived at the bass section, and Marlacoo, who got M&D on the day. Well done. All right, let's look at Grade 3B then on the day. Champions at Lisburn and Castlereagh in 3B, Upper Crossgar. Go on! Wow. What a result. Well done, Upper Crossgar. They actually managed to split the piping with Moneygore, who finished in second place on the day. So, yeah, stretched their legs and played up a grade and finished in second spot. Brilliant result from Moneygore. So, yeah, split the piping with Upper Crossgar. Fantastic results and finished in that runner-up spot in second. In third place, we had Drumlock Pipe Band. Yeah, good on the Drumlock. Good stuff. And in fourth place, we had Down Pipes and Drums, who managed to lift the drumming as well on the day. Fifth place then went to Ballybowly Pipe Band. Yeah. So, yeah, shout out to Moneygore, also lifted the best bass section, and M&D went to Down Pipes and Drums. Very competitive grade in there. But, yeah, story of the day, champions, Upper Crossgar, fantastic result for them. So, yeah, chuffed. Moving on, Grade 3A then. We'll talk more about 3A later in the topic of the week, but I think this is the grade where all the moving and shaking's happening. Talk more about that later. But, let's go on to it. The Lisburn and Castlereagh champions for Grade 3A, the Matt Boyd Memorial. Yes. Go on, the Matt Boyd. Now, if you haven't heard the run yet, go have a listen. Treat yourselves. It's such a good run. Yeah, they done so, and they lifted the piping on the day of in Grade 3A as well. 2 firsts in piping, first in ensemble, however, second in drumming, because the drumming on the day went to our second place finisher, and that was McNeilstown. Yeah. In third place then in 3A on the day was Cullabaki, who also thumped the big tunes. Well done, Cullebackey. In 4th place was Stirla and District. And in 5th spot was Drumloch. There you go. Grade 3A, ultra competitive, very enjoyable to watch. Go and have a look at those recordings if you can. All right, moving on to Grade 2. In the ridiculous grade, our champions in Moira for the Lisburn and Castlereagh Championships in Grade 2, Tullylagan. Yay! Go on, the lagging. Yeah, they managed to lift the piping, the drumming, the ensemble. Yeah, so well done to Tullylagan here in Grade 2. In 2nd place was McNeilstown. Yes, well done, McNeilstown. And in 3rd place was Cullebackey. There you go. Cullebackey, shout out to them. They actually lifted Best Bass section in Grade 2. Yeah, also lifting the M&D as well in the ridiculous grade. So well done, Cullebackey. Not a bad weekend's work there. Yeah, shout out to Tullylagan, though, of course, lifting that Grade 2 title. Well done, folks. Now, of course, in Grade 1, there wasn't much of a competition. It was just more of a showcase where Ravara were there on the day thumping out a big tune. Man, did they not disappoint. It was just a pleasure watching Ravara this weekend in Moira. It was just brilliant. So, yes, of course, they lifted the top spot, walked away with every title because they were uncontested. So well done to Ravara. All right, so that was Moira. I think the event itself was pretty much a success. Yeah, I didn't hear many complaints. Everything ran on time. There was a number of bands drop out throughout the day. As to what the reasons were, not sure. But some of our grades, we were expecting them to be larger. However, a number of bands did withdraw either that morning or later in the day. So it meant that there was a bit of moving and shaking around of the timings of everything. But managed to get there in the end. We had the big mass band and everything. All went swimmingly. So, yeah, go and check out all of our videos, of course, from Moira. They're up there now on our YouTube channel. Of course, along with that live-streamed announcement of all the results and everything. You can go and check that as well. All right, let's move on to our next competition, which was Loch Orr. Yeah, we had Ewan at that one. Ewan managed to attend and managed to film quite a number of videos from this competition, so go and check those out. Again, Big Rab Show YouTube channel. So let's go through the results then from Loch Orr. Starting with Novice Juvenile B, our winner on the day was Stirling and District Schools Junior. Go on, Stirling and District. Yeah, in 2nd place was Burnt Island and District. 3rd place was George Watson's College. And in 4th place was the High School of Dundee. Drumming on the day went to George Watson's. There you are. Moving on to Novice Juvenile A then. Winners on the day, George Watson's College. Yes, now they actually split the piping. Yeah, with the High School of Dundee, our runner-up. Yeah. The drumming also went to George Watson's. Yeah, so shout out to them. And in 3rd place was Lochgilly High School Junior, and that was your Novice A. Now, moving on to Grade 4B then, as we calling it, the Wild West. Did not disappoint. The Wild West, Grade 4B. I have listened to the performances in here, and some very strong performances in 4B. I know there was only 3 bands in here, but they did not make it easy for our judges, I'll say that. In 1st place, and winners at Loch Orr, Stockbridge. Go on, the Stockbridge. Yeah, they also, they lifted the drumming as well. So, yeah, clean sweep. 2 firsts in piping, drumming, ensemble. They lifted the lot. Well done to Stockbridge. In 2nd place, Dunbar RBL. Woo, that's their development band, of course, there in 4B. Excellent. And in 3rd place, we had Ailithan District. Yes, well done. That was your Grade 4B. And as I've said, if you can't find the recordings, go and watch them. Very entertaining stuff. All right, moving on to Grade 4A then. Winners on the day in Loch Orr were the City of St Andrews. Go on, City of St Andrews. 2 firsts in piping, drumming ensemble. They swept the boards. Well done. In 2nd place were Kinross and District. Yeah, so 2 bands in the grade there, so a small grade. But yeah, well done to City of St Andrews. Moving on to our juvenile grade then, we only had the 1 juvenile band on the day, and that was George Watson's College, and they lifted the top spot across the grade. Yeah, well done. So moving on to Grade 3 then, yes, winners on the day at Loch Orr were Burnt Island and District. Yes, with a mighty performance. 2 firsts in piping, drumming, ensemble. They lifted the lot. Well done, Burnt Island. In 2nd place was Methil and District. Yes, and 3rd place was Dunbar RBL. Well done, and they finished in 3rd on ensemble preference because in 4th place were Stockbridge. Now, speaking of playing up, this will make for some interesting reading, and a lot of people will have opinions on this, and I want to know yours. Let's talk about Grade 2 at Loch Orr then, shall we? winning on the day in grade 2 in the ridiculous grade, George Watson's College. Yes, they played up into grade 2 and lifted it. Whew. Wow, there you go. In second place were the Mac Cals, the Mackenzie Caledonian Pipe Band. There you go. In third place, an ensemble preference was Burnt Island and District, who played up. Yeah. In fourth place then was Dunbar RBL, and in fifth was Metal and District. That's your grade 2. Now, this is always a conversation piece. Whenever juvenile bands play up in grade 2 and lift prizes, it tells you the quality of our juvenile bands, doesn't it? I've been saying this for years, just how good our juvenile bands are. Like, they're honestly knocking the door of grade 1. People don't believe me, but trust me, if you have had opportunity, go and have a listen to our juvenile grade. They are absolutely incredible. And full shout out to George Watson's College for lifting the grade 2 competition at Lochore. Well done. All right, moving on to grade 1. Yes, we did have a grade 1 on the day with 3 bands here in total. And finishing in first place on ensemble preference, Scottish Power. Yes, and a mighty run it was as well from Scottish Power. Now, I did have to mention that it was ensemble preference because, in second place was Police Scotland Fife. Now, they managed to split the piping with Scottish Power, so they split the judges. Fife walked away with the drumming, however, they were second in ensemble, so that ensemble preference pushed Scottish Power over the line, and they walked away with the title. In third place then was the Mac Cals, Mackenzie Caledonian, stretching their legs in there in grade 1, which is brilliant to see, and a real good set actually as well. I got a text message actually asking me what I thought of the medley, and had a listen after the fact, and just ahead of recording tonight's show actually, and I'm here for it. You know, if you haven't heard the Mac Cals medley yet, go and check it out. That's my advice. All right. Very entertaining. So shout out to the Mac Cals. I'll be watching you guys. I'll be watching yous. But yeah, shout out to Scottish Power, who walked away with the title on the day at Lochore, and go and check out the run. Very entertaining stuff from Scottish Power. Man. Oh, unbelievable. There you go. So as I've said, those videos are up there on the Big Rab Show YouTube channel. You can go and check them out. Shout out to Ewan, who managed to capture them on the day, as well as the all-important results announcements. You can go and have a watch at that. Now, also this past weekend, there was a competition in air. Now, it wasn't a huge contest, to be honest. Not a massive event, this one. So I'm going to very briefly run through the results here. Starting with grade 4B, winners on the day were Troon Boys Brigades. Yes, in the Wild West, first Troon managed to lift her. Well done. And in second place was Dean Castle Pipes and Drums. And that was your grade 4B. In grade 4A, you only had the one band in there. So champions on the day were Strathendrick. Well done. Looking to grade 3, well, we had one grade 3 band in there. And Strathendrick played up as well from grade 4A. So winners on the day in grade 3 were Troon Caledonia. There you go. Managed to lift the drumming as well there in grade 3. Excellent stuff. There was also an open grade on the day, and winners on the day were Troon Caledonia. There you are. In second place were Strathendrick, and in third place were Dean Castle Pipes and Drums. I have been told this was quite a small event, but everyone who did attend honestly did have a great time. It's very relaxed, and we were able to have a good tune and enjoy themselves. So yeah, shout out to everyone who attended the competition this past weekend in air. Good stuff. All right. Also, this past weekend, there was a competition in Aberdeen for the Aberdeen Highland Games. Now, there was some drum majoring action at this, so I'm going to start there. Kicking things off, well, there was only our adult grade on the day where 2 of our drum majors were competing against each other. And winner on the day, and Aberdeen Highland Games champion, Tracy Dean. Yeah, Tracy Dean's from Coulter and District. Well done, Tracy. And in second place was Michael Litch from the Grampian Police. Yeah, there you go. So that was our 2 adult drum majors competing at the Aberdeen Games. Well done. Moving on to our bands then. We're going to start off with, the Wild West in grade 4B. Yeah, the Wild West. Now, this grade 4B at Aberdeen kind of... It shows you just how wild the Wild West can be in grade 4B. All right, because a number of bands from Novice B played up on the day, And yeah, they fared out pretty decent in the prizes. So let's talk about it, shall we? Winners, Grade 4B in Aberdeen, Bucksburn District Novice Juvenile B. Whoa! Go on, the Bucksburn District. Well done. 2 firsts in piping, actually, and lifting that top spot. Well done. In second place in Grade 4B was Granite City Pipes and Drums. Well done, Granite City. Finishing second with a first in ensemble, actually, so a good weekend's work there. Yeah. In third place were Ellen and District. Well done, Ellen. And in fourth place then on ensemble preference was the Donator Pipes and Drums. Now, they managed to lift the drumming in Grade 4B that day as well, so well done. In fifth place was Highland Granite Novice Juvenile B. Well done. So that's your top 5 there in the Wild West in Grade 4B. But yeah, congratulations to Bucksburn and District Novice B stepping in there and lifting the top spot in Aberdeen. Well done. Moving on to Grade 4A then, and winners on the day in Aberdeen were the RAF Lossiemouth BAE Systems. To be precise, to give you your full title. But I'm sure everyone knows you as the RAF Lossiemouth. There you go. Well done. They done so with 2 firsts in piping, so great weekend's work there for the Pipe Corps. Well done on the RAF Lossiemouth. In second place was Granite City Pipes and Drums. Yes, again, lifting that second spot with a first in ensemble. So well done, Granite City. In third place was the Donator Pipes and Drums, who played up, and they also lifted the drumming in there as well. Well done to Donator. So that was Grade 4B and 4A. Both drumming titles going to Donator. Well done. In fourth place then, wrapping up our 4A, were the City of Aberdeen, the hosts themselves. Well done. So that was your Grade 4A. Moving on to Grade 3 then, again a combined grade with 3A and 3B together. Winners on the day were Elgin and District. Again, with a clean sweep there. 2 firsts in piping, drumming, ensemble. Elgin absolutely cleaned up, so well done, Elgin. In second place was Fraserburgh RBL, of course, from 3B. Well done, Fraserburgh. And in third place were the RAF Lossiemouth BAE Systems. Well done. That was your Grade 3. Moving on to the ridiculous grade then. In Grade 2, you talk about a dogfight in here, man. Oh, man, this was something else. So if you haven't heard the run yet from Aberdeen in Grade 2, the ridiculous grade, go and watch it. All right, so let's talk about it. Winners in Aberdeen in Grade 2 in the ridiculous grade, Texo, D-side Caledonia. Go on the D-side. Well done. They actually lifted the drumming on the day as well. And first in ensemble too, so not a bad weekend's work for the Texo, D-side Caledonia. Well done, guys. In second place were Bucksburn and District. They finished second overall, but they had 2 firsts in piping in here. So great work from the Pipe Corps there. Well done. In third place, we had the Grampian Police Scotland Pipe Band. Yes, actually finished third, but had a second in ensemble. So yeah, it's a very challenging grade in here, as I've said. So go and have a listen to those performances if you haven't yet. In fourth place, I haven't mentioned them yet, is Elgin and District, who stretched up to Grade 2 there. It's great to see them in the mix there for sure. There you are. So go and have a listen to Texo, D-side Caledonia. Absolutely tore the doors of the place. It was just such a good run. Shout out to the drum corps, by the way, who were just fantastic. Really cooking on the day in Aberdeen. Really entertaining stuff. So well done to everyone there. Grade 2 in Aberdeen. Such an entertaining contest. All right, we did have a Grade 1 on the day, which was more like an open grade, where our 3 Grade 2 bands battled it out again. And winners on the day in the open grade, or Grade 1, depending on how you want to look at it, on ensemble preference, was Bucksburn and District. Go on, the Bucksburn. Yeah, they managed to split the piping with the runner-up, actually, Texo, D-side Caledonia. Yeah, so Texo also lifted the drumming in the open grade as well, in Grade 1 there, so well done. And in third place was the Grampian Police. There you are. So that was your contest in Aberdeen. Folks, I feel like we've covered so much ground already. We're nowhere near done. That's just the competition that was happening here in the UK. But let's talk a little bit further afield, shall we? Of course, this past weekend was Scotfest BC. Yes, British Columbia Highland Games. And, man, the performances we got from this competition in BC was just another level. The scene there, honestly, I have no words. I've seen a lot of the videos from this, and there's some bands in there especially in the medley performances. There's such creativity being employed there. It's just amazing. All right, let's start with grade 5 then. First of all, yep, winners of the Quick March set on the day were the Robert Malcolm Memorial. Woohoo! Go on, the Robert Malcolm. I'm going to very quickly breeze through these because there's so many. But yeah, moving on to grade 4, winners on the day overall were Northwest Junior in grade 4. Yeah, well done, Northwest Junior. Moving on to grade 2 then. Oh, no, hold on, what am I doing? Grade 3, I skipped. I skipped a grade. What's going on? Moving on to grade 3 then. Winners on the day overall were Greyland Crossing. Oh, now, if you haven't seen the performances from Greyland Crossing from this past weekend's BC contest, go and have a listen to their medley. All right? I'm just saying, I'll say that and I will walk away discreetly. I'll say nothing more. Go and have a listen to Greyland Crossing. All right, go and do it now. Pause the podcast. Go and have a look at the medley selection from Greyland Crossing. Holy smokes. All right, so well done, Greyland Crossing. That was impressive. I am suitably impressed. Absolutely. In second place was the Vale United. So there was only 2 bands in the grade 3 competition. But, man, Greyland Crossing were something else. Anyway, I'm going to go and listen to it again after I finish recording this week's pod. It's so good. All right, moving on to grade 2, the ridiculous grade. There was only 1 band in here. Really, it's more of a showcase. And yeah, winners overall were the Cascadia Pipe Band. Well done. And in grade 1, yeah, again, very similar. Not much of a competition. It was more of a showcase. But winners on the day were the Simon Fraser University Pipe Band. And again, in particular, go and have a listen to their medley selection. Man, is it something else. I'm running out of words for wow, okay? But that's what I want to say here, okay? Simon Fraser University have published those performances themselves over on their socials. They must have had cameramen in the audience who managed to capture the performances for them. Go and check them out. So enjoyable. Well done to SFU, who honestly hit the ground running this season. Really, really strong. But yeah, my takeaway from the BC Scott Fest competition was Greyland Crossing. If you haven't listened to their medley, that's my takeaway. Go and watch it. All right? Go and watch the Greyland Crossing. And then come back to me. All right, let's talk about the Northumberland games then in Ontario. Yeah, we had our Big Rab Show guy out there capturing things. Shout out to Bill. You're a legend, Bill. Thank you, Bill. He managed to capture a lot of the performances, actually, from the Northumberland games. So those videos are now up there on the Big Rab Show YouTube channel. Go and check them out. So, kicking things off with the juvenile grade. There was only 2 bands competing on the day, but winners on the day were the Durham Regional Police. Go on, the Durham. Well done. Yeah. Let's move on to grade 5 then. Or, of course, the Wild West, I suppose, in Ontario. Yeah. Moving on to grade 5, the March Medley. And winners on the day were Smith Falls, Gordon. Yeah. Well done, Smiths Falls. There you go. Moving on. Grade 4, like I say, I'm trying to speed up here for time, folks. Moving on to grade 4, gone to the mini MSR competition, grade 4. Winners on the day were the Durham Regional Police. Not a bad weekend's work there for Durham. Yeah, lifting the juvenile and grade 4. Well done. Moving on to grade 3, then winners on the day in grade 3 were the Glengarry. Go on, the Glengarry. Well done, folks. Yeah. Moving on to the ridiculous grade then. In grade 2, winners on the day were the Ottawa Highlanders. Yeah. Go on, Ottawa. Yeah, honestly, they were something else. If anything, looking at how the judges scored them, they had ones right across the board. And yeah, I can see why. They were so strong there in that ridiculous grade in grade 2. Well done, Ottawa Highlanders had a cracking good run. Also, shout out to the Peel Regional Police who picked up the runner-up spot. Well done. Yeah, and in third place was the Toronto Police Pipe Band as well. And that was your grade 2. All right, moving on to grade 1. Well, wasn't much of a competition in grade 1, more of a showcase, I guess. And the 70th Fraser Highlanders stepped into the circle. Yes, now, I don't know. A lot of people have some opinions on the 78th this season. Now, we've already seen them, already this season. This is, I think, their second outing this year. In my opinion, their first outing, People had opinions. In their second one, I think they silenced a lot of people. The run that they had at the Northumberland Games, honestly, was very strong. Yeah. So to anyone who might have been online following that first performance, I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of the online commentary talking about that performance. Well, now with this second run out at Northumberland, I think they've silenced a lot of the doubters. There was such a good run from the 78th. Oh, very, very good stuff. So, yeah, shout out to 70th. Very entertaining at the Northumberland Games. So, as I've said, if you do want to go and check out all of those videos from Northumberland, they are up there now on the Big Rab Show YouTube channel. Shout out to Bill, who's an absolute legend, for catching those for us. Thank you, mate. It's brilliant to be able to see the action at these competitions in Ontario. So we're looking forward to seeing more. So there you go. Check it out. Big Rab Show YouTube channel. You can check out all the action from the Northumberland Games. All right. So let's get away from competition results. You know, that's nearly half an hour of me reading results. That tells you just how much happening in the scene right now. Okay. But there is other news that I do want to talk about. Big news here locally in Northern Ireland is the return of the William Kennedy Piping Festival. Yeah. Now, last year we read the story about how this event was pulling the plug. Yeah, we spoke about this, that the William Kennedy Piping Festival, after years and years in operation, decided enough was enough. And that was it. They pulled the plug on it, and last year we did not have a William Kennedy Piping Festival. It was so crap. I did not want to read that news on the show, but it happened. But they have now announced that it is back again. Now, it might not be as huge as previous William Kennedy Piping Festivals were. They are now in a stage of rebuilding. So for anyone interested in the Piping Festival itself, my advice is go along to the William Kennedy Piping Festival's website, wkpf.org, and check out all the information on the lineup that they've managed to, announce so far. Now, honestly, it's truly international, and that's one of the things that makes this Piping Festival unique, is that they really draw from the piping world. It's all across the globe. Now, in particular, I'm going to be quite interested in hearing some Cape Breton bagpiping from Kevin Douglas, I suppose. Yeah, there's also stuff from France, of course, that I'm really hip from the Breton scene. Also, the local Armagh Pipers Club are also brilliant. Right, there's too many acts for me to mention here. There's a full hashtag list. But just wanted to put it out in the pod this week that for those of you who did miss the William Kennedy Festival last year, it's back November 12th to November 15th, and it's a packed festival. So go and check out the full details. So throughout the month of November, the William Kennedy Piping Festival is back, which is such good news. There you go. All right. Speaking of news that is noteworthy, we have to talk about the statement that was published today from the RSPBA headquarters. We love a good statement here on the Big Rab Show. Now, at this point in the season, the only statements that you would get at this point in the year are bad ones. Okay? It's safe to say that if you're dropping a statement at this point, in the halfway point of the season, there has to be something badly wrong. Okay? And now we have the writing on the wall. Let's get into it. The RSPBA put out a statement, approximately 3 or 4 hours ago from me recording this, and it talks about the Chief Executive Officer to step down in March. Yes, the RSPBA announces that the Chief Executive Officer, Colin Mulhern, has formally advised the board of his intention to step down from his role on the 25th of March, 2027. All right. So, Colin submitted his resignation to the chairman of the board on the 20th of May, 2026, bringing to a close a significant period of service to the association. During his tenure as CEO, he's played a key role in securing the future of many of the RSPBA's flagship championships and strengthening the organization's position within the pipe band community. Now, I'm reading this verbatim here, all right? We'll discuss it in a second. We'll go back. there'll be opinions. It goes on to say, throughout his time as CEO, Colin has demonstrated a deep commitment to the association, often dedicating significant unpaid time and effort to support its development and future success. His work has helped modernize operations, strengthen relationships with key stakeholders, and has secured championship venues for years to come. Now, before we get into the actual statement from the chairman, I do want to talk about this. Now, we have spoken about this on the show before. Whenever Colin Mulhern was first appointed to the role, there was a lot of commentary about himself and his role and what should he bring to the role and what will he bring to the role. And now we can look back on it now, and we can actually look on his tenure, and everything that is said within this statement, I honestly think is correct. Yeah, now we've spoke about this, about the RSPBA very much used to be a very closed house. It used to be very cloak and dagger, and you got told absolutely nothing. Their communication was terrible, all right? I'm going to say that. It was absolutely terrible. Where's my trombone? Yeah. It was awful. No matter how many times we would have contacted the office or anyone within the HQ organisation to ask for a statement, to answer questions, we got absolutely bupkis. But that has absolutely changed. They are just an open book right now. And anyone who does have questions for them, specifically from the media outlets, like ourselves and the Rab Show, but others as well, if they do have questions, all we do now is we lift the phone and we go, "Hi, what's happening with car parking for the UKs?" And they go, "Oh, well, this is happening, this. And they tell us everything right there and then on the phone. Or they even tell us, "Oh, yeah, we'll put something out in socials and we'll tell everybody about it. That's a good idea." Do you know, the communication from headquarters has now proved to be wide open. And honestly, I think that's such a brilliant development and should have been in place now for a long time. That open communication with membership and media outlets is such a positive. And I don't know, is that part of Colin's legacy? I don't know, but it's certainly one of the more tangible things that we can certainly grasp and say, hey, that has definitely improved. As for the modernization of operations, yes, we have seen that come to fruition as well. There's been a lot of modernization from the headquarters over this last 5-6 years, especially post-COVID. There's been a lot of different innovations and things that we now sort of take for granted, but that weren't there years ago. So, yeah, modernization, absolutely. So as for securing championship venues for years to come, that's been a topic of discussion on the show where, the calendar announcements appear to be getting later and later every year. But that's not on headquarters, though. That's up on the actual venues and event organizers that kind of drag their heels a bit at putting rubber stamps on contracts. So, yeah, that's an interesting one. Looking back on Colin's legacy, I think he can be rightfully proud of it for sure. So let's get into the statement we got from the chairman, Bob Niven. He goes on to say, "I would like to thank Colin for steering our association through what can often be a challenging journey." Yeah, that's an understatement right there, Bob. So going on, he says he has always had the RSPBA at heart throughout his tenure as Chief Executive Officer. We are particularly grateful that he is committed to remaining in post throughout the 2026 season and has offered his support in helping new personnel settle into their roles during the transition period. Now, that in itself, that open communication right there, that Colin has said, "Hi, I'm going to help out as best I can with a handover for whoever gets the job." We wouldn't have heard stuff like this before, So again, there's that open door communication. It's a complete new culture now where we're given information we didn't even ask for. But this is brilliant to see that there will be an actual handover, that Colin will perhaps be training up his replacement to say, "Hey, hello, new CEO, here's everything that you need to do. I'll show you how to do it." So there you go. Moving on, it says the board of directors extends its sincere thanks to Colin for his dedication, professionalism and service to the association and wishes him every success in the future endeavours. Isn't that brilliant? Honestly, I think that's brilliant. It goes on to say, to ensure a smooth transition and continued progress for the association, the RSPBA will shortly begin the process of recruiting a new chief executive officer. Oh! So, yeah, this comes to the next question then. Who's going to be our new chief? Oh! I have no idea. It goes on to say, further details, including the job description, the person specification, and the application process, will be advertised in due course. Oh, man, I don't know about you, but I can't wait for this. Who's going to be the new chief? Oh, I don't know. Do you know what's going to be interesting as well? Like that job description, personal specification, like what kind of qualities would you need to be a CEO of the RSPBA? Okay. Now, as that statement alluded to, it actually said the amount of unpaid work and time that Colin had to put in to make things happen. That's a very real thing. And we've absolutely seen a lot of evidence of this, where we've seen Colin working well after hours on some occasions and for nothing, for free as well. And just like, hey, I'm going to go to this meeting and talk to these people, try and get this done. And he's doing this all off his own back to make sure that events run successfully. Will we get a CEO that's willing to do that? I don't know. Also, one of the things has to be said. The job of Chief Executive Officer of the RSPBA is, well, we've said this before on a previous Rab show, it is a poison chalice. Because everyone in the bagpiping world will absolutely point the finger at you if something goes wrong. Could you imagine being the CEO of the RSPBA and then seeing all the keyboard warriors out there absolutely flinging all sorts of crazy your direction? It happens so many times. Like, I don't know. Say they're charging too much for a burger and a chip van. Who gets it in the neck? That CEO boy. I read nothing but a... Yeah, I've heard it firsthand. It's crazy. And let's not even get into some of the bigger errors and the bigger mistakes and some of the bigger issues that the RSPBA have had to deal with over the years. Where does all the fingers get pointed? Directly towards the CEO. The guy at the top of the pile calling the shots. Yeah, there's that, and the board of directors and the chairman, of course. All of the top brass at the RSPBA, they have to put up with a lot. So do we think that everyone will be clambering over themselves to get this job of CEO? I don't know. I hazard a guess that it might be slow on the uptick. There may not be that many folk out there, specifically within the bagpiping world, wanting to get that job. Now, granted, I think the financial package involved with being a CEO is quite attractive. Okay, I'm going to say that. I'm not sure what the details are, how much exactly they do make a year. I don't know, but I'm sure that is part of the attraction for such a high-powered and highly stressed job. So, I don't know. It's a bitter pill to swallow. We honestly think that Colin has done a fantastic job. Any dealings that we have had with headquarters, the board of directors, with Colin, the media team, anybody there in headquarters, in recent years has just been fantastic. It's been an open door of communication, and we think that should continue. Long may it continue. It's fantastic. So we've nothing but high praise for a lot of the modernization and innovations that Colin has brought to the organization. We think he's done a fantastic job. As to who's going to fill those big brogues, good luck to everyone who's going to apply for that. And we will be following this story with interest, and we'll be talking all about it. As that job description and all that gets released, we're going to go through it with a tooth comb, aren't we? What do you need to be a CEO? Ooh, I think you need to have a terribly thick skin, for one. Yeah. All right. So there you go. That's an interesting one. If you do want to check out that statement, of course, it's available now on the RSPBA socials. Go and have a watch at it. Yeah. Also, just want to briefly mention that the Northern Ireland competitive calendar has now been finished. We've now finally got our final announcement of where we will be finishing our season. I know, this is the end of June now, and we're only hearing about it now. Yeah. The end of the Northern Ireland calendar will finish on the 22nd of August after the big one in Donard Park in Newcastle. Yeah, there was a ton of rumours about this contest, all right? So many people thought it was in Portrush. So many people thought it was in Newcastle. And, as you can imagine, there was a battle between both camps, okay? But, as we can see, this is where the stamp on the contract counts for everything. And we're all heading to Newcastle to finish off our season and crown our champion of champions. Do you know what? That venue in Donard Park is just brilliant. And the march along the seafront and everything to finish things off, it's a huge party atmosphere. I love Newcastle. Such a great contest. Yeah, I'm kind of gutted we're not going to the Port. I do love Portrush as well. It's such a brilliant contest. But, hey, we're all going to Newcastle, folks. That's where we're wrapping up our season here in Northern Ireland. So I'm here for it. Brilliant. All right, so before we do get into our topic of the week and talk about all things European Championships, I do want to give a bit of a plug for a little event that's happening on an app that we've been showcasing our guests here in the Big Rab Show. Now, it used to be called Musolink. I'm sure you guys might remember the adverts that we used to have for Musolink on the Rab Show here in the podcast. Well, now it's actually changed names. It's called Octero. And I've been still continuing to use Octero to track my progress. All of my practice sessions and everything, you can log it on the app. It's very interesting. If you haven't checked out Octero for your practice needs, go and have a watch at it and go and look at it. Yeah, practice chanter, Highland pipes, snare drum, drum pad, basically anything to do with the bagpiping world and the music world in general. No matter what instrument you play, you can track your progress and your practice time using Octero. Well, the reason I'm giving them a big plug this week as well, Octero are running their Worlds 2026 Challenge. Yes, now this is so exciting. They done this last year, and so many people took part, and it was just amazing to have so many people around the globe logging their practice time in the hope of winning some prizes. Yeah, so what you have to do is go to Octero, the app, download it on your phone. It's available in the App Store or on the Google Play, and yeah, create an account and all the rest, and then start practicing. Just follow all the details on how you can log each session. And what you have to do is you have to record 20 practice sessions before the Worlds. Yeah, and that's it. They have to be 20-minute practice sessions, though. All right, so you can't just log in and practice for 30 seconds and then log out. No, you can't do that. You have to actually put the work in. So you have to log 20-minute practice sessions, and then you'll be entered into a prize draw once you reach that threshold. The prize draw, the winners can either win either a Maverick practice chanter or a Jim Kilpatrick Pro Pad. There you go. Excellent stuff. So shout out to Octero. Brilliant competition. So you'll get tons of practice in ahead of the big one for the Worlds, obviously. And then you'll be entered into a prize draw to win a pretty cool prize. There you go. So go and check out Octero. Such a brilliant app that I've been continuing to use all throughout this season and last season to track my own progress. And it's interesting. It's a very cool app. I will go and check it out. Yeah. All right, so that's a shameless plug out of the way. Now, we have so much to cover with this weekend's European Championships. I've got a feeling this is going to be a big topic of the week that you have all been waiting for. So, I think it's time for me to finally go and get myself a big cup of tea. It's time for the topic of the week.
Kingdom Thistle Pipe Band Supplies for all your pipe band and marching band needs. Supplying everything from uniforms and instruments to custom-designed bass drum heads. They offer it all. Not forgetting their exclusive Kingdom Gilly Brogues and George Boots, crafted by bands for bands. Kingdom Thistle provides expert product advice and an industry-leading drum refurbishment service to keep your equipment in top-class condition. Also, shipping worldwide. So, stop by their store in Fife or visit them online at kingdomthistle.com for all your pipe band and marching needs.
Marchify, the brand new home of Flam 5 drumming. Check out their brand new Strike bagpipe case, inspired by their colourful, popular and reliable Flam 5 drum cases. The Strike bagpipe case combines durability, style and practicality, protecting every movement. Shop now at marchify.co.uk with worldwide shipping available. Marchify, every movement protected. Alrighty, time for topic of the week. We got there eventually, folks, didn't we? Let's talk about it. The third major championship in the calendar is this weekend. Now, isn't that a crazy sentence to read? I don't know. Where has this season gone? I don't know. It seems like no time since I was looking forward to the start of the season. And now here we are. We're pretty much over the halfway point at this stage. Yeah, the European Pipe Band Championships opens its gates this weekend in Perth, and I'm here for it. 110 pipe bands, over 30 drum majors will all be hitting the grass this weekend for that third major title. Folks, I think that's kind of our preview for this week. I'll see you all next week. No, we won't get into it all, of course. But yeah, there's so much positive to take from this event, which honestly has grown year on year. And that's one of the takeaways here, that we'll get through the draw and you'll hear for yourselves that some of these grades are quite sizable, which is great to see. But also, there is some negative, and we need to get into that. First of all right, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the car parking situation. Yeah, I'm sure you've probably seen the update that was on the RSPBA's socials there a few days ago, and they were talking about all of the different difficulties with car parking. Now, this is all so confusing. Similar to what happened at the UK Championships in Belfast, where it was in quite a residential area. Yeah, parking was extremely limited, and you did need to work it out ahead of time and book your spot. Well, similar sort of arrangements aren't in place for the Euros. Now, yeah, I'm not going to try and point you in any particular direction, but go and have a look yourself at the various different parking arrangements and options available for this weekend's championships, and please do arrange it in advance. That's my advice. If you are attending the Euros, do make sure you have somewhere to throw your motor that's going to be safe and that is as close to the action as you can get. Now, the reason I'm asking you to plan in advance is because, well, this weekend there will also be a huge parade that is running through the city centre. And as a result of this massive parade, well, there'll be all sorts of crazy road closures. Now, in fact, possibly most of the town will be closed at some stage, and this will hinder a lot of people trying to leave the European Championships on the Saturday. Yeah, now there's all sorts of, well, not just road closures, but all different on-street parking and things will be limited, and parking restrictions everywhere, road closures. It's all a bit confusing. My advice, go along to the RSPBA site. They've done their best to kind of point you in the right direction as to where to get all your information on travel, parking, all of that stuff to do with getting into Perth itself and getting to the event. Their advice is the same as mine. Arrange it in advance wherever possible. So that's my advice. Parking, in general, is a big deal for major championships. We spoke all about that, of course, at the UK's, where that was a topic, of course. And I reckon it's going to be another topic for this weekend's Euros. So, yeah, at the very beginning, wanted to get into the negative. That's a negative right there. Parking at this will be a challenge, and getting to and from the event, by the sounds of it, with all the road closures, could also be a challenge as well. So do plan in advance. Also, another negative that people has raised with us in the Rab Show. Yeah, last night on Fuse, we got quite a number of text messages about this, asking about tickets for, spectators. Yeah, a lot of people not impressed with the pricing of this. It's costing about $16.96 on average per person. All right, that's your general admission ticket. So it's about 17 quid, you may as well say. But then you add on your booking fee. A lot of people have been snared with that, which is an extra couple of quid. So you're talking on average about £20 per person through the gate for general admission. Now, there are concessions, of course, for under 16s, for the young Scot as well. There's also for seniors, disabled people as well. And there is family options available as well. Anybody aged under 5, however, is free. Isn't that nice? So go and check all your ticket information as well. And again, try and arrange it in advance wherever possible. Because obviously pre-booking your ticket online through their Eventbrite website is way handier than having to stand there and queue at the gate and, have to flash your credit card. So go take care of your bookings, all of this stuff in advance for the Euros. It seems to be the way things are now. Whenever it comes to, major championships, this seems to be how things are. That our association are providing us with as much information as possible and then leaving it with us, to arrange our own way of getting there, getting parked, and then getting through the gate, I guess. So that's my advice. Go and check out all of that. The information is available on the RSPBA website and their socials. They've been publishing it out now for weeks. There's so much information about the European Championships, and for good reason. There's a reason why they've been pumping out all this info, because they do want people to be aware of the situation within Perth and what's happening there. So, that's my advice. I'll take it for what it is. I know it's seen as a huge negative, but it's not the great way to start our preview, but it is what it is. But this does mark, the third time that the Euros is going to be held in Perth. And I've been told, I still haven't actually been to the venue in North Inch, but I've been told it's a fantastic venue and is very capable of holding a major. People are really actually quite excited to be going back to Perth, going on the strength of the previous majors that were held there. So, I don't know. If the major is back there in North Inch next year, I'm going to have to pay this a visit. I've heard so much great positive feedback from previous events. So, the venue itself, absolutely cracker. And, tons for families to do as well, from what I've been hearing. Loads of stalls, exhibitors, craft displays, fun fair attractions for young kids and stuff. There's going to be tons of stuff available here at the Euros. So you're not just going to be stuck with the pipe band stuff. Obviously, that's one of the highlights for sure, but there's going to be tons of other stuff available for youngsters. So if you are bringing the family, there's going to be tons there for them to do. All right, but away from all the fun fairs and the stalls and things, let's get into the piping action then, shall we? Well, as this is the third major in the calendar, at this point in the season, we are starting to see some trends here. Ooh. Yes, we are starting to see in certain grades, certain bands are becoming really quite strong and are already gaining momentum, rolling into another championship. Will we see a similar grouping of top 6 bands in each grade? Well, that's debatable, isn't it? But we are seeing some trends. After the UKs, after the British, we are starting to see those names being repeated. So will the same happen this weekend? I don't know. I highly doubt it, because looking at this, every grade is going to be wide open here, folks. And that's honestly our takeaway here. Every grade is going to be entertaining for many different reasons, if none more so than the sheer volume of bands in each grade. That's going to be worth watching in itself, just to see the lay of the land within each grade. How's it all going to shake down? Right, before we get into our bands, though, let's talk about our drum majors here briefly. First of all, shout out to our junior drum majors. There's going to be 3 heats of our juniors. So, best of luck to all of you in there. So, good luck to juniors. 3 heats in total. Then within, I don't know, man. There's so many names, again, that are jumping out to me that people have already lifted major titles in there. So, you know who you are, but good luck to all of our juniors. On to our juveniles as well. Again, similar. They have 3 heats as well. So go on to the juveniles. Again, big names in there that have already lifted major titles. Best of luck. All right. And our adults then, 3 heats as well. So 3 heats for each one. And again, tons of names that we have read out both in junior, juvenile, and adult that have already lifted major titles. This is going to be an interesting weekend for our drum majoring world. Now, the reason I'm sort of breezing over our drum majors is because of that very reason. The drum majoring world, I don't know. It is all dependent on so many different factors, I feel, for drum majoring. It's the conditions, it's the ground, it's like there's so many factors comes into play when it comes to drum majoring. It's so variable. So see, whenever you're trying to make a prediction for our drum major title, good luck. Or perhaps you're listening right now and you are an absolute expert in drum majoring and you know yourself, oh, I know exactly who's going to win the Euros this weekend. Well, if you do, well, yeah, let us know. We would love to have an oracle in the drum majoring world that can predict things, but we certainly can't predict it here in the Rab Show team. So it's wide open, and we want to wish everyone the best of luck who is hitting that drum majoring arena this weekend. It's going to be intense. I'll say that. Because that's one of the things we've mentioned in previous wrap-up podcasts is just how close the margins are in drum majoring and how a lot of the placings are being decided on M&D preference. Yeah, that's happened a lot. So to our drum majors listening right now, the very best of luck to you, but also be mindful of that M&D preference. And I'm hoping a lot of you out there have been working away on your M&D because it seems to be vitally important. There you go. All right, well, what I know about drum majors, I can write in the back of a stamp, but I am here for it. I love the competition in there. It's just, yeah, on a knife edge with such small margins. I'm looking forward to this weekend for drum majors. All right, let's get into our bands then, starting with Novice Juvenile B. What a huge grade to kick off Novice B. Seriously, 18 bands in here, man. Now, that's huge and so encouraging. Yeah, like this is definitely a big increase on the UK Championships. Yeah, so let's go through the list then of Novice B. We have Stirling and District Schools Junior, Tynecastle Youth Community Pipe Band, yeah, Oban High School, Burnt Island and District, they're Juvenile B, yeah. We have Renfrewshire Schools Development, yes. We have Hutchison's Grammar School, yeah. We have Balerno and District Schools, yes. Lewis and Harris Youth Pipe Band, North Lanarkshire Schools, Kintyre Schools, West Lothian Schools, Bucksburn and District Novice, People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate, Caledonia, Dollar Academy, Edinburgh Academy, High School of Dundee, the Glasgow Academy, and St. Columba's School, Kilmacombe. That's quite a list of bands, if anything, quite a huge grade there. Yeah, and a few names that I'm not familiar with as well. Some bands in there I haven't heard yet. So, but that's on me. You know, that could well have been the case that there are recordings out there in existence. I just haven't heard them. So to everyone in Novice B, the very best of luck to you. That is a huge grade of 18 bands. If you do manage to come out on that top 6, well, you deserve a pat in the back right there. Yeah. So let's move on then. Novice Juvenile A, again, quite a considerable grade here for Novice A. 12 bands in total. So, kicking things off at 10 o'clock in the morning, we have Falkirk Schools, followed by Lochgilly High School Junior, Renfrewshire Schools are next. Then we have Stirling and District Schools. Then we have Oban High School, George Heriot Schools, St. Columba's School, Kilmacombe, George Watson's College, Preston Lodge, go on the PL. There you go. We have the High School of Dundee, North Lanarkshire Schools, and Dollar Academy. That's your Novice A. Yeah. Now, the Novice A grade, I have been listening to a good number of the recordings actually from Novice A, and the quality of music in here is just crazy. And whenever you consider that a lot of these youngsters juking it out in there, honestly, the work that they put in, I don't know, man. If I could play like that whenever I was such a young age, I don't know, man, what the future would have been like for Big Rab. I wouldn't be here talking about it on a podcast, that's for sure. But hey, fair play to all of these kids in Novice A. They're absolutely playing out of their skin at the moment. There's so many great performances. And I would urge you, if you do manage to see any of those recordings from Novice A, or Novice B for that matter too, go and check them out. There is a lot of really great music being played here and some fierce competition. So with 12 bands here in Novice A and 18 in Novice B, they're going to be two completely competitive grades. Man, I don't know. Best of luck to you. Everyone there in Novice A will be watching with interest on that one. Good luck. Alrighty. Well, time to get on to Grade 4B, or as we've been calling it, the Wild West. Yes, time for Grade 4B at the European Championships. 18 bands in here, folks. Quite a big grade. Yeah. Now, we're not into the realm just yet with the Euros of having to play heats and stuff. Now, we get into that, I guess, with Dumbarton. We've already spoke about that in our previous pod. But, man, Grade 4B, wait till you hear this for a list of competitors. Right, 18 bands in total in the Wild West, and kicking things off at 9 o'clock in the morning, we have Troon Blackrock. Yeah. Then we have Irvine and District, followed by East Kilbride. Then we have Paisley and District, RBL. Then we have Badenoch and Strathspey. Yes. Now, I don't know, is this stuff that Rab got wrong? But I believe this is the first we've seen Badenoch this season. Now, is that... I don't know. I don't think I've seen Badenoch and Strathspey actually competing this year yet. I think this might be their first outing, but that could be stuff that Rab got wrong. We also have then after that, we have Donaghadore Pipes and Drums, followed by Dumfries. Yes, we have Granite City. Dean Castle Pipes and Drums are next. Then we have the Vale of Atholl 4B. Yeah. Then we have Arbroath, Greyfriars Pipes and Drums, Dunoon Argyll, Lanark and District, Alyth and District Pipe Band, Uddingston Strathclyde. Go on, the Uddy. Then we have Kilbarkin and the Northern Constabulary Community. There you go. Now, there are a few names in here that I'm not familiar with. You know, and this is the beauty of the Wild West. Honestly, there's any one of these bands on their day, perhaps names that we haven't heard this season yet, could absolutely step in there, thump us all in the teeth, and lift a European title. You know, that's the beauty of the Wild West. So, Northern Constabulary Community, I'm not familiar with that band. Very keen to hear them, however. So, looking forward to that. Again, I mentioned Badenoch and Strathspey. I don't think I've heard them this season. Again, very keen to hear what they have to bring to the circle. Folks, Grade 4B, I know we're joking calling it the Wild West, but that's why we call it the Wild West. Because it's wide open, and any one of these bands can just roll into town, lift the title, and right off into the sunset like Butch Cassidy or one of those cowboys. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I don't know, folks. To all 18 of those bands, there's quite a few of you that I'm very excited to see. Yeah, it's such an exciting grade. But yeah, there's also those that I haven't heard much of this season. Keen to see what they're going to do in the circle. So, yeah, anyone's going to sit and watch Grade 4B, you're going to be in for a treat. All 18 of those bands are going to be worth their salt, and that's going to be an interesting one. All right, let's move on away from the Wild West onto Grade 4A then. Now, this is a smaller grade, and major championship, and the number kind of doesn't reflect that, in my opinion. But, hey, Grade 4A, we have 12 bands in here in total. It would have been great to see possibly twice that at the Europeans, you know. But, hey, we have our 12. So let's go through it. We're kicking things off then at 11 o'clock in the morning. We have Cooper Angus. Go on, the Angus. Yep. Go on, the Cooper Angus. Yeah. We have then after that Strathendrick Pipe Bands, followed by Perth and District. Then we have the City of Discovery. We have Barhead and District. Danny and Dunny Pace Association. Yes. We have Pennycook and District, Kinross and District are next, followed by the Ratheye Pipe Band, Mid Argyll, City of St Andrews, and Kirkcaldy and District. There you go. Now, I don't know. There are names in this mix that we've already read out, you know, and obviously people will be paying attention to them at this stage. But I get similar to Grade 4B. Seriously, any one of these bands could walk in there and lift it. Very similar to the Wild West. I have to give a mention to Cooper Angus, actually. Very keen to hear what they're going to bring to the circle, but go on the Cooper Angus. Yeah, Barhead and District as well. Always thump a good tune, and honestly, the tone and sound that we've been getting from Barhead, fantastic. So keep up the great work. I have to give a mention to the Ratheye Pipe Band as well. Remember reading their name a few times in the prize list. So, yeah, very strong. And give a shout out to the City of St Andrews Band as well. Also been in the prizes this season. And again, with a huge sound. That's one of the things that surprises me sometimes. Grade 4A bands now are just thumping a big tone. You know, getting sound nowadays doesn't seem to be a huge challenge for a lot of these bands now. You know, they just seem to land on this massive big tone that would just melt your face. And yeah, they can absolutely sing. So a lot of these bands, now I know I haven't mentioned all 12, but each one has their story to tell. And every one of them as well can definitely walk away with the title. I know people will accuse me of sitting on the fence, and they're like, oh, Rab, get off the fence. But no, honest to goodness, the Wild West and 4B, but also Grade 4A as well. There's every band in that circle this weekend will definitely be thumping a tune and could be deserved Euro champions. That's an interesting one. All right. Suffice to say, good luck to everyone in 4B, the Wild West, and to everyone in 4A. Have a good tune. We will be watching with interest, of course, and we will report on everything on next week's pod as we wrap it all up. Yeah, good luck. All right, rolling on to our juvenile grade then. We have, well, the usual 6 in here, I believe. Yeah, we have Dollar Academy, West Lothian Schools, George Watson's College, Lochgilly High, George Heriot Schools, Preston Lodge as well. Yeah, now, who's the 6th there? It says here, playing at 12:52. I'm not sure what that is. It's just Dollar Academy. Yeah, there you go. Right, so there must have been an adjustment on the timings there. My apologies. So yeah, we had the usual 6. Dollar, West Lothian, George Watson's, Lochgilly, George Heriot's, and the PL. That's your juvenile. There you are. So, again, this juvenile grade is absolutely insane. It's insane. I had a real good listen to George Watson's. I had a good number of recordings of it. And man, like seriously. And the PL as well. Managed to get a good listen to them, of course, at the UK's. And man, they were singing. Oh, man. Right. Okay. Shout out to our juvenile grade. If you are going to, plunk your deck chair down at the juvenile grade, you're going to be in for a treat. Let's just say that. So to all 6 of you, have a good tune. As for making a prediction, I have no clue. So good luck to all of you. All right, let's move on. Grade 3B at this weekend's competition is not bad. 17 bands in here. Now, that's really quite positive, to be honest. I was expecting numbers to be low in 3B, but nope. I'm very happy to be proven wrong. So let's go through the list here, shall we? Kicking things off at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we have Binbrook Lightnings, followed by Govan. We have Camelon and District, the Vale of Atholl, of course. Yes, we have Stockbridge, then Troon Caledonia Pipe Band. Yes, we have East Ayrshire Caledonia Pipe Band. Yeah, then we have Mulgai, Kilbarkin, Lower Clyde Pipes and Drums, Williamwood, the Royal Army of Oman. Whoa, now I think this is their first outing for the season here in the UK, so looking forward to seeing them. We have Wollaston and District, Fraserborough RBL, Rothsay and District, Down Pipes and Drums are making the trip across. Go on, Down. And then we have Coulter and District, and that's your 17 bands. Now, there are immediately some names that jump out to me as being particular highlights and bands that you should absolutely catch this weekend. Top of the pile, for me personally, I'm a huge fan and I'm really looking forward to seeing them, and that is the Royal Army of Oman. I'm very excited to see them this weekend and to see what music they're going to bring to the circle. So that's a huge highlight for me, obviously. Now, I'm going to be pretty biased here, but I have listened to quite a number of performances now from Down Pipes and Drums, and yeah, they have been thumping a real good tune on this side of the Irish Sea. I'm very keen to see what they're going to bring to Perth, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going to finish in the pecking order. And that's what makes Grade 3B interesting. If you did look over the past 2 competitions, all right, the UK's and the British, both competitions were a very mixed bag in Grade 3B. That each band that walked in there seemed to make it very difficult for the judges. Now, as to where it's going to fall down this weekend, no idea. Do you know what? Do you know the way we do a World's Prediction podcast each year? Well, if we were to make a World's Prediction podcast this week, and we were to say, right, here's our predictions for the Euros, I would defy anyone to try and predict all these grades that I've just mentioned. 4B, 4A, Novice, Juvenile, now 3B. anyone trying to make predictions here, no. Good luck to you. There's so many big names in here of bands that have absolutely thumped a big tune. Shout out to Govan. Govan has been in the prizes, and man, have they been sounding good. Lower Clyde, pipes and drums. Their drum corps have really impressed me, along with William Wood as well. Yeah, shout out to William Wood. So, I don't know, folks. There's so many names. What about Camlon District? Binbrook Lightnings as well are a band that I haven't heard much of until this season, and they've been really impressive. So, yeah, shout out to Binbrook. Really good stuff. Rossay and District, of course. Coulter and District also can thump a tune. And Kilbarkin, come on. Kilbarkin are just a machine. They're brilliant. All right, so many good bands in 3B. This is going to be competitive. I do have my own particular highlights, of course. Shout out to the Royal Army of Oman. I think everyone's going to be excited to see them this weekend. So, yeah, good luck to everyone there in 3B. 17. Whew, 17 good big guns in there. All right, let's move on to Grade 3A then. Now, I have said this at the start of the season, and people laughed at me. Now people are not laughing at me, and they're going, yeah, Rab, maybe you were fair enough. I'm talking Grade 3A this season appears to be where the action is. There's so much moving and shaking and innovation that's happening here in 3A. So much really interesting music being played in 3A. If you haven't heard any of these performances, you can go back and have a look at our YouTube channel. We've captured a good number of these. Man, there's some good music being played. All right, let's go through the list then. 16 bands in total in 3A this weekend. And kicking things off, we have Macanta. This is 1:45 in the afternoon. Then we have Scottish Borders. Yes, then the City of Newcastle. Then the City of London. Then we have Dunbar, RBL. Followed by Methil and District. Pitlochry and Blair Athol Pipe Band will be there next. Then we have the City of Stirling Pipe Band. Followed by Cullabaki, who are making the trip across. Then we have the City of Inverness. We have Elgin and District. Arbroath. Then we have Uddingston Strathclyde. Go on, the Uddy. Yeah. Then we have Burnt Island and District, followed by Livingston, Caledonia, and then the City of Discovery wraps things up then at 3:45 in the afternoon. So, with that list of band names, I'm sure there's those in there that you folks are already pegging as being potential European champions. So I'd like to pick your brain. Who do you think is going to lift it? Because any one of those 16 have been ultra competitive this year already. And I don't know. I do have my own particular picks in here. I'm going to give my own particular, ones that I'm paying attention to, I guess. Well, obviously, I'm going to keep paying attention to Cullabaki. It's great to see them making the trip across to Perth. And again, it will be interesting to see where they fall in the pecking order. They've been ultra competitive here in Northern Ireland, playing some really interesting tunes. So yeah, shout out to David and everyone there at Cullabaki. Really looking forward to seeing them this weekend. Absolutely. Also have to give a mention to Methil and District, who I think have been blowing a real good tone this year. And particularly, okay, I'm going to mention their bass corps. Their bass and tenor corps at Methil and District have been doing real interesting stuff between the snare line and the pipe. Really interesting. Go and have a listen to Methil. There's some good stuff there. Also, a couple of bands, well, we mentioned them, that they're both drawn one after the other. The City of Newcastle and the City of London are two bands that, well, I haven't heard an awful lot from this year. Now, that's on me. There is recordings out there. I just haven't heard them yet. But that is on my homework. I am keen to hear them. So there are a couple of bands that I'll be keeping an eye on, of course, this weekend. Also, shout out to Macanta Pipe Bands, who always have a good tune. Yeah, there's been some times that Macanta have walked in there and it's just absolute magic. So wishing them the best of luck. Also, of course, we have to give a mention to the Uddingston Strathclyde, of course. Good mates here at the Big Rab Show, of course. So, yeah, best of luck, folks, there. Yeah. Also, have to give a mention to Livingston, Caledonia. At the very beginning of the season, when they debuted their medley performance, they absolutely blew the doors off the place. It was insane how good it was. So, yeah, very keen to see how Livingston, Caledonia hit the circle this weekend. Oh, it's going to be fun. Also, shout out to Burnt Island and District as well. Oh, come on. Talk about sound. I was mentioning that earlier about how bands seem to find it easy to get a big tone at the moment. Well, Burnt Island's definitely one of them that really have such developed sound, so good to listen to. Brilliant. See this entire grade 3A, I can, again, mention every band. They all have a story, something to tell, you know? There's so many. Right, so grade 3A, if you are not going to watch any other grade this weekend, maybe if you're not even going to watch the Top Flight or the Ridiculous grade, my advice is go and watch 3A. And for anyone listening right now that maybe isn't going to the major this weekend, do go back and listen to some recordings, if you can find them, from all of these bands on grade 3A and 3B. There is some blistering good music being played here at this level. And I know some people kind of count it out and they go, I'm not listening. But you should. I think most of the innovation that's happening in the piping world right now I know that people will cut me down for this, I genuinely think it's happening in 3A. Yeah. So mark my words. I know we're seeing some absolute fireworks from our grade 1 big guns. Absolutely, of course we are. But go and have a listen to hear and see what's going on at 3A, 3B in particular. Both those grades, man. Some really interesting stuff. Anyway, it's been a pleasure to watch this season, and I'm very keen to see how it's going to continue to develop this weekend at the Euros. Good luck to all 16 of you. It's going to be a dogfight in there. All right, let's move on to the ridiculous grade. Right, seriously. There is 12 bands in here in grade 2, which is decent for a major championship. All right, it is decent. It could be better, but it's decent. So let's get into the draw then, shall we? Well, kicking things off, we have Buck and Peterson. Then we have Bucksburn and District. Then we have the MacCals, Mackenzie Caledonian. Then we have Uddingston, followed by Colburn, IOR. Then we have Denny and Dunnipace Association. Go. Then we have Oban, Grampian Police, Johnstone, City of Edinburgh, Royal Borough of Annan, and then Texo, Deeside, Caledonia. Now, you tell me, where do I start with this? Because I have absolutely no idea. Oh, right. See to our judges here in grade 2. Best of luck to our judges here. Just looking at the adjudicators, actually, we have Ian Bowden, Jim Campbell, Paul Brown, and Peter Snadden. So, you know what? I wish each one of those guys the very best of luck because, I don't know, judging this grade 2 competition is going to be insane. Now, I mean this from the point of view that it's going to be incredibly difficult. Now, will ensemble come into play here at grade 2? Yes, I think it will. We've seen this already with the top 2 grades, grade 1, grade 2, that ensemble will be king here. You will get very few errors in playing. All right, I'm going to say that, but that's what happened in grade 2. You very rarely get mistakes now. You don't really get bad blowing or a slip here and there, someone goes into the wrong part or something. That very rarely happens in grade 2. But what does happen in grade 2 is they would march in there and play a set that the judge just doesn't gel with. You know, they would be listening to a medley selection and go, nah, it's just not for me. Last. Now, how does that work? I have no idea. It's the intangible X factor whenever you come to the ridiculous grade and grade 1 that no one can quite predict. It's all on that judge's perception of that performance, whether they liked it, whether they didn't. It doesn't come down to accuracy, tone, sound, none of that. It comes down to whether the earth moved. You know what I mean? And genuinely, I think that's the case. Listening to grade 2 this season, the standard is so ridiculously high at the moment. There is no margin for error. So it does just simply come down to, did the judge like it or did they not? That's it. So, I don't know, folks. There's already some huge names that have been in the prize list already this season, lifting major titles, and I am sure they're going to be continuing to be in that fight. But there is always the dark horse in grade 2 that can just completely come out of left field and slap us all in the teeth. You know? Now, as for the drumming aspect in grade 2, there's some mighty drum corps in here that on their day can absolutely click. I have to give a mention to the Royal Borough of Annan, who have been really thumping a good tune with their drum corps recently. I don't know if you haven't watched them yet. do yourself a favour, go and see Royal Borough. Man, talk about fireworks. That's bound to be fun to play in as well. That's what I'm looking at as well. Like, if you remember that Royal Borough drum corps, how could you not be standing there with a silly smile on your face? Seriously. Anyway, so and there's so many great bands. I know I'm singling out Royal Borough, but I've just been really impressed with their drumming. Just fantastic. Also, I have to give a mention to Uddingston's drum corps as well. They've been a pleasure to listen to as well this season. Again, another fantastic band. Right, so people are going to get upset that I'm picking out bands and not mentioning them all, okay? But let's say this. All 12 of those bands in there can absolutely lift the European title, and I doubt that anyone will have an argument, you know? So good luck to everyone in the ridiculous grade. We do call it the ridiculous grade for a reason. There's so many of you that can... man, I don't know. I don't know how the judges are going to do it. So good luck to our judges in the ridiculous grade. All right, moving on to grade 1 then. Yeah, disappointingly, we only have 8 bands in here. Yes. Now, this was a topic of discussion last night on Fuse FM Ballymoney, where a lot of people were talking about this and it's disappointing. There's no other way to cut it. So let's go through the 8 bands that we have in the top flight. Kicking things off at 3 p.m, we have the Field Marshal Montgomery. Then we have Police Scotland and Federation. Then we have the Mighty Shots. And then we have Inverary, St. Lawrence O'Toole, People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate, Caledonia, Scottish Power, followed by Police Scotland, Fife. And then we haven't got our 9th one, have we? No. Ravara deciding not to compete at the European Championships this year. Now, we spoke about this at length last night on Fuse. But a lot of very strong opinions about this, talking about bands not travelling to compete at major championships. Well, yeah, I can see it, but absolutely, again, this is the economy and the cost of living and the cost of travel and logistics and all of that stuff starting to bite here. There's a lot of commentary last night on Fuse where people talking about just how expensive a season is. And you heard it earlier in Weekly Drum. You know that bands are operating on pennies, not pounds. And travel and hotels and flights and all that stuff adds up over the course of a season. And yeah, it's a very bitter pill to see that, you know, one of our top flight bands is not going to be in there duking it out. But it's a serious amount of money to compete at all 5 majors. And perhaps that's the reason we're not seeing Ravara this weekend. As disappointing as that is, because honestly, I think Ravara have been having a real strong season this year. You know, listening to them at major championships has been a pleasure, but recently at the Lisburn and Castlereagh Championships in Moira, we were mentioning this earlier, they were so good. So good. So, I don't know, folks. Ravara, it's a bitter pill that they're not going to be there this weekend. It's disappointing. But we hope to see them back again, of course. We will be talking about future draws when it comes to the Scottish and to the Big Yin, of course. They'll be there too for that, I'm sure. So, which one of these 8 bands am I going to pick as my potential European champion? I have absolutely no clue. Absolutely no idea. Because, well, Field Marshal Montgomery have lifted a major, and so have Shots. So we've had 2 majors and 2 major champions crowned. So are we going to have a 3rd major with another champion crowned? Perhaps. Because there's so many bands that are already nipping at that top spot. It's kind of crazy. It's insanely crazy. Well, first of all, we have to give a mention to Inverary District, who were not there at the UK Championships because they were over in Chicago enjoying themselves. Yeah, they were competing at the Chicago Highland Games, and come on, they sounded brilliant in Chicago. Honestly, such a good tune. And we've heard nothing but glowing reviews about their concert and everything. Inverary, absolutely singing at the moment. So can we count them out this weekend? Absolutely not. They're going to be fantastic. Just where they're going to finish in the prize lists, we've no clue. That's going to be an interesting one. Yeah. Police Scotland and Federation, of course, back into competing ways, and on their first outing was back within the prize list as well. So will they continue to build on that success as each major rolls round? We'll have to see, won't we? But always to be in there with the fight, of course. St. Lawrence O'Toole have been absolutely singing this season. I don't know, man, I see listening to them, particularly at the start of the season at the British Championships, man, they were something else. So, I don't know, St. Lawrence O'Toole had such a good run at the British, and also at the UK's as well. Very strong, big tone, and just really precise playing. You guys know I'm a huge St. Lawrence fan anyway. I love a lot of their music. So, where they're going to fall this weekend in the pecking order is anyone's guess. Another band that I'm sure a lot of people will be paying keen attention to this weekend is People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate, Caledonia. Again, another ultra-strong Grade 1 big gun, and the fireworks that have been coming from Boghall over this past 2 major championships, it's undeniable how much fun that band is, you know? Like, they're exciting to watch, you know what I mean? And like as a player, to be in that circle, I'm sure is bound to be exciting as well. So, come on. People's Ford, Boghall and Bathgate, Caledonia, again, it's going to be another exciting watch to see what they're going to bring to that circle, what fireworks are going to happen, and yeah, how the judges manage to place them, anyone's guess. Now, we have to mention the remaining 2 bands that we haven't really spoke about, of course. Police Scotland Fife, come on, they were heavily requested last night on Fuse FM. So many people wanted to hear that medley again that they performed at the British Championships, and of course, we had to. Such a brilliant medley that they played at the British. I think everyone is still talking about it. The tone, the sound, the approach to the music, the way it kind of introduced with that tune and then reprised it at the end, and then it just hauntingly, you know, came back at various parts throughout the medley. It's very dense, complex, but so enjoyable to listen to. So, yeah, Police Scotland Fife, absolutely going to be a force to be reckoned with there. So best of luck to David, to Nick and everybody there at Police Scotland Fife. Man, I can't wait to see them. This weekend, of course, as well, Scottish Power. Now, unfortunately, we didn't see Scottish Power at the UK's, so this will only be their second major championship for the season. So, can we go on form or anything like that? No, absolutely not. But from what we've seen at the British Championships, I think we're going to be in for something special this weekend. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, go on, the Scottish Power. You guys know how to surprise everybody, so go on. Step in there, thump us all in the teeth with a big tune, and then, I'm looking forward to seeing Scottish Power this weekend. Of course, Field Marshal Montgomery and Shots both have already picked up major titles, so everyone will be watching both those bands. With both bands already having their story told at this point in the season, will they now lift a second major? That's an interesting one. There's 8 bands in there that are going to be vying for that title. It's not going to be an easy fight. So best of luck to all 8 of you in that Grade 1 circle. It is absolutely anyone's guess. And again, similar to the ridiculous grade, I do want to wish the best of luck to our adjudicators here in Grade 1. To Morris Rhodes, John Revel, David Brown, and to Bob Worrell. This is going to be a mammoth task. I can't undersell that. It's just going to be huge. Right. See, any judge that's in the circle with a clipboard, that's going to be a difficult day, I think, at the Euros this weekend. And that's what makes this all so interesting. Now, I don't know, people don't ask me often for predictions for like the Euros, the British, the Scottish. They don't ask for predictions for that. They obviously ask for the Worlds, right? And that's why we do our Worlds Prediction Pod. But these major championships in the lead up to the Worlds are so important. What I mean by that is that we always talk on the show here about momentum and how important that can be when rolling into Glasgow for the big game in August. Now, that momentum at this stage, with the 3rd major in the calendar, this is when we should start to see that momentum gaining speed. All right? First major, you're just getting started. The second one, okay, you're starting to gain a little pace. The third one, you should be running at this point. Then whenever it comes to the Scottish and Dumbarton, you should pretty much be at a full sprint. You know, sweat lashing, arms pumping. You should be absolutely running. And then whenever you hit the big yin in the Worlds, that's the finish line. So this European Championships is another step along the road for bands building that momentum. Regardless of the grade, I'm not just talking about the top flight here. I'm talking every grade. So, yeah, this weekend's European Championships, there will be yet another story told in each grade. Every band has their story. I know that sounds corny, but honestly, it's the truth. And every band that I've mentioned, and ones that I haven't on this weekend, on this week's pod, yeah, best of luck to all of you. We will be watching every inch of this competition as it unfolds. And, of course, we do hope to be live streaming the results and all of that. Okay? So I hope that answers some questions. We will be filming performances for our YouTube channel, as always. So, keep an eye on our YouTube channel for all of the action from Perth this weekend. Also, we will be live streaming the results. Just to mention that again, for everyone who has been asking. There's been tons of people here on this side of the Irish Sea who aren't travelling to the Euros, but they do still want to follow the action. So, yes, do keep an eye on our Facebook page and all that stuff, and we'll be bringing you the results from Perth as they happen live in the park. Yeah. So, with parking issues, road closures, and the price of admission for punters, that's going to be a challenge. But trust me, this is going to be a weekend of piping action that the scene is going to be watching very keenly. And it's at this point that momentum starts to gain pace. And we will no doubt be talking all about it on next week's pod. As we do a full European Championship wrap-up all on next week's podcast. If you do have any thoughts on everything that's going to happen this weekend, or even as the results are read, if you have any thoughts and feelings about the European Championships, well, email them into us, bigrabshow@gmail.com, or you can send us in your weekly drones about the Euros, and we'll bring that all to next week's European Championship wrap-up. Yeah. Well, folks, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thank yous all for downloading this week and each and every week. And again, don't forget to tell your mates about our wee show, about what we're doing over here, blathering away every week about what we know and love to be the music of the Great Highland Bagpipe and its people. All right, everyone, good luck this weekend in Perth. Have a good tune. Bring back some silverware, and we'll be talking all about yous on next week's pod. Until then, we'll see yous all next week. All the best.
Well, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thanks so much for downloading this week, and a special thank you to our sponsor, G1 Reeds. Played by bands around the world, they are the champion's choice. Check out g1reeds.com for all of your piping needs. Don't forget to check out thebigrabshow.com to be kept up to date with all of the latest news and views from around the piping world. And also, check us out on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get your hands on tons of extra piping goodness and be a part of the Patreon faithful. So, until next week, folks, we'll see you right here on the Big Rab Show podcast. All the best.